I'm Alex Stevenson, founder of Ninja Teacher Academy, and yeah, we help people start teaching English abroad, and we do the TEFL training as well as assisting people with securing jobs, mostly focusing on Vietnam and Southeast Asia, Cambodia, Thailand as well. Yeah, so I moved abroad to teach English in South Korea almost 8 years ago. And at that time, I knew I wanted to start a business, but I wasn't sure what it was just yet. So I started a website, started a blog, and started creating content and a YouTube channel as well about teaching abroad. And I started out by answering questions, showing what life was like on the YouTube channel. And then as that started to build, I got more and more inquiries, and I started out by partnering with other recruiters, other TEFL course providers, and then marketing and selling their courses. And then that was like a slow progression from doing marketing and sales, and then also after that, starting our own courses and programs. So I started out in the marketing and sales side, moved to Vietnam, and I saw the market was very good for English teachers in Vietnam, and I really liked it here. So that's when I decided to kind of settle in here and focus on helping people start teaching here in Vietnam. Yeah, 100% bootstrapped it. So started building it on the side while I was teaching, and then when I had brought in enough revenue to stop teaching, and I was supporting myself, then I could make more sales, bring on more team members. I had that mentality from the start. It was always like bootstrap and then be very smart about what you spend on, grow based on what you can afford. An issue that someone that maybe raises a lot of money and then they're like, okay, I got to spend all this money. And that I did actually have that problem. As I started to increase our revenue, I increased our expenses. That's normal and it's fine, but I think that that's an issue that a lot of people in entrepreneurship have is, they spend according to what's in the bank account. And that's not always what you should be doing. You shouldn't be growing for the sake of growing. You should figure out what makes sense for your business and what size of business you really want to have. Yeah, it did. And it was initially pretty self-centered. I wanted to do something cool, exciting, something in entrepreneurship. I wanted to make money for myself. I wanted to have my own business. I didn't know what it would look like exactly, but I also kind of got into the whole, let's be a digital nomad type thing, which I kind of dislike that term a lot now, actually. But that was kind of how I started out. And I always knew that there would have to be an exchange of value. I knew I would have to provide value to make money, but it was centered around what could I get out of doing this. And then over time, as I started to help people, I've realized that I actually really enjoy building a company that's good company, one that provides valuable services and actually gets results for people, because especially in this teaching English market, there's a lot of not that great quality companies that don't really offer an end-to-end service that really helps people from start to finish, from where they are back home to getting a job in Vietnam and all the training and everything in between. Mm-hmm. So now I really enjoy doing that, having a company that has a mission of helping people get started, also improving education in Vietnam. So yeah, it's definitely shifted over time. Yeah, so Vietnam has been our major focus for the last 5+ years. We were almost entirely focusing on Vietnam, but obviously things have been pretty closed recently. So we've shifted a lot to online training and in preparation for helping people move here as borders start to reopen. So yeah, there's been countries like Cambodia, for example, which has been a little bit easier to get to recently, as well as Thailand now. So we've also shifted our focus there, but primarily Vietnam. There are things that I'm happy about when I started out I'm happy that I didn't know, actually. I think if I knew everything about what was involved in starting a business, I wouldn't have been so excited and dived headfirst into it. So having that hustle and that drive to just create something, I really value. So I don't wish I had studied business or something before, because that might have been a roadblock for me, that it would prevent me from going out and doing it. So I learned a lot on the way. I had good mentors. I was lucky to stumble across or find mentors and business coaches that helped me focus on the right things. And I think the things that I did focus on that were the right things to do was really find out what it is that customers want, not just kind of decide what I want to do and then there's no product market fit. So actually focus in on asking people what they want and need, figuring out what kind of services I can provide. And I think that was good to have that. But then there's also lots of mistakes that I made along the way, like trying to grow too fast when I really started building up the business, maybe overhiring or increasing expenses more than I should have. So there's stuff that I do wish I had known, but I also wouldn't necessarily change the journey that I've been on. Yeah, so when I started out selling courses, I realized that there were a lot of online courses that weren't providing what people really needed to get trained and then find a job, because they were essentially just courses online with some text and maybe an assignment submission and stuff like that. And initially, we were making some sales, selling those, but then I realized that a lot of people wanted to get the full service of like support, moving to Vietnam, helping them arrive, helping them with everything they need to know to get here, meeting them in person, having a community of people was a big one. And I think that's still one of our biggest selling points, is having a community, because people always mention that, like, no one wants to just move to a new country on their own. That was a big tick there. And then lastly, just quality training. So the in-person training in Vietnam was very good to get for a lot of teachers, because teaching English is quite a practical skill. Once we had those things, we realized that that was a product and a service that someone would be willing to pay a higher price for, because it really helps them right from the start to the finish. Yeah, so I think that I got a lot of my insights and did my market research through talking to people. And that's, basically sales, just getting on calls with people, figuring out what it was they wanted. Of course, I looked at what other companies were doing and, looked at the market size and all of that kind of stuff. But I think the biggest thing is actually understanding what your customers want, the psychology of what they want and need. There's a lot of things involved that you got to figure out as well. And of course, doing detailed market research is good, but I think that's the biggest thing for me. I credit that to like my first mentors just telling me, if you want to do business, it's not about like sitting behind your computer and trying to guess. It's about actually going out and talking to people. I don't think I've ever got to the point where I really thought that I would stop or give up. And I think that's one quality I like about myself, is I'm very determined, and I decided I'm going to push through no matter what, probably to the point where there were times when I was working too much and too hard just to make things work and not having the balance in life. But I'd never really considered the idea of failing. And, I knew it was a big enough market and there would always be a need for services in this teaching English industry, because it's the English learning market is $1 billion per year or whatever. So, or more than that. But, so there's always going to be need for English teachers, especially in countries in Asia. So where there's that need, I knew there was going to be some demand for English teachers. And as long as that's there, then I would figure out how to make it work. Yeah, I think the biggest one was definitely COVID. And that was because, as I mentioned, we were shifting from selling partner courses to running our own courses in 2018, 2019. And we had really got off to a flying start. We were running our training courses every month. We were bringing in over 100 teachers per year, and it was going great. But we had really invested in getting to that point. So it was kind of poised to be the next couple of years were going to be amazing. And then COVID hit, and it just, I mean, the borders closed, which was, it's been such a huge thing for, 2 years now. It's possible to get in, but there's very few people actually getting into Vietnam. So, hopefully that's changing in the next couple of months, but it forced us to adapt and shift to online. Luckily, we had been fairly prepared because I had thought about doing some kind of at least combined learning. So we had video recorded a lot of our in-person training. So yeah, we shifted to online training, and that was a big shift. But I think overall it's a good one, because I think you mentioned that in your previous Entrepreneur of the Month, is that we aren't going to go back to how it was before. There's going to be some kind of remote work pretty much forever now, probably. So having that combined, where now we do have the online, but we can also combine it with the in-person, I think we actually have a better set of products now. So coming out of that, we've actually grown, but obviously that was a big hit to the business, and has forced us to adapt. Yeah, so we started out, and like I said, I was starting out doing it all by myself, and it was primarily YouTube. And actually, that's still our main marketing channel, because YouTube is really powerful. YouTube is the second biggest search engine. So it basically is creating content that will help people find you. And not only that, there's a lot of power in the algorithm, where if you're doing the right things on YouTube, it really reaches a lot of people. And so, it's not free. There's a lot of work that goes into it. So it is an investment, whether that's just your time, or you're paying video editors or whatever it is. And then of course we've dived into some paid advertising and stuff. But at the end of the day, it's something that people stumble across or hear about, and then they search, teaching English in Vietnam, and we pop up on YouTube, and some SEO, content marketing, and then some paid advertising too. But that's still our primary source of marketing. Yeah, I could go into YouTube strategies for hours, but I would say the most important thing is probably consistency of posting, at least once a week. Creating content that's, there's lots of different types of content you can create, but getting that combination of information and entertainment right is really important, because people are scrolling through, or searching for something, they will click on the most interesting looking video to start. So your thumbnail and your title have to really grab attention, and you got to use a little bit of clickbait, not in the sense that you're not giving them what you promise, but you got to catch their attention. And then after that, the entertainment has to be there too with the content. It has to be fast-paced or engaging, or and you can figure out your own style, but you need to be consistent, and you need to give people information that they want, and you need to make it entertaining. Yeah, I would say just be prepared for things not to go according to how you expect them to go. So be flexible. There'll be things that you learn along the way that no one can prepare you for. I think if you speak to someone to get consultations and advice, that's the way to go to start. But even then, you're going to run across things that you don't expect to happen, and that aren't done in the same way as they are back home. Anyone that is interested in moving to Vietnam and starting a business, I do think it is a place that has a lot of potential. And as someone that's a foreigner, there's challenges, but I think it's a great country to live in, and it's a great country to invest in and do business in. So if you are considering it, there are challenges, but I think there's a lot of opportunity here too.